Hey guys, Brian here, and today we're going to talk about two secret sales strategies that are super powerful. So many times people have thought about salespeople as like very talkative and very chatty and always trying to persuade the buyer into buying something. So like using a lot of talking to basically persuade people. But I can tell you the way that actually works the best is actually the opposite of that. So this is the first secret strategy, silence. And this is super powerful to use in a call. No matter if you're an introvert or extrovert, it's hard to do because it kind of goes against the social norm, and then but that's why it's so powerful. So when you're talking to a prospect, and this is mostly dealing with online education businesses, like dealing with calls like over the phone or like Zoom, like video calls. So that's the type of thing we're talking about here. And see, this kind of stuff is like usually easier on an audio call. Like it's usually easier to have that silence. So why is this so powerful? Well, it typically puts you in the more of the alpha role in a conversation. It shows you that like you're the person, that this prospect is coming to you, and it's your kind of choice as the seller to either take them on or not. So they're the one with the problem. They're coming to you to get that problem solved, and it's kind of like you're not just accepting everybody. You're accepting them. You're going to see what their situation is and see if they're a good fit before you decide to let them in the door. And that's why silence works extremely well to kind of keep you in the alpha role. But not just that, beyond that. Because typically on a call, the prospect is talking. You're trying to diagnose their problems, which is like really the most important thing on a sales call. You're diagnosing their problems, but they're really not giving you a clear answer. Like their answers are kind of mumbled or around the place. They're not really giving you an answer that you can work with, or like they're not really giving you the gold of what you're asking them. So say for example, if you ask a prospect, how much are you making per month these days? And that the prospect is like, well, I'm not sure. We have this product, and it's like we get a little bit here, and then we get this one. I'm not really too sure, to be honest. Sorry about that. And when he stops talking there, we don't reply with anything. You don't say, okay, that's okay. We can move to the next question, or okay. Then how about it? And then you ask another question. What you want to do in that case, but once he stops saying all those words and talking and kind of mumbling around, but not giving you an actual answer, you want to just be like, and literally like that. But that could go on for like 30 more seconds or whatever. I don't want to ruin my retention here on YouTube by being silent for too long. But that's the type you have to be silent for whatever long it takes. And this is particularly important in the closing stages of a sales call. If you do everything else right before that, these type of things are particularly important. But in that case, you just pause, don't say anything, and then in his or her mind, they're going to be thinking, oh, maybe that wasn't the right answer. Maybe I should give a better answer. And then they're like, oh, I think it's like $5,000 a month that we're making now. And like, okay, great. And then you have something to work with. You have a figure, a data point that you're able to work with. This is the same if you're like in the fitness space. How much do you weigh, or what's your current weight, or whatever it is in the fitness space? You need that data point. You need to be silent until that person gives you the answer. But it's not just that. If a person is giving you the answer and they're giving you some good information, you still want to be silent. Like after they finish the answer. So they finished their answer and you got some good information. You still be silent maybe for another 5 seconds or so, maybe even a bit longer, because sometimes there's some gold in there that they're like they haven't really said yet. They're waiting for their thoughts to catch up with their mouth sometimes. So you sometimes pause for a few seconds. Honestly, on a kind of a side note, podcasts, I feel the best podcasts are the ones where the interviewer actually asks the question and the person is talking, and then the interviewer remains silent, because oftentimes that person can actually fill in way more valuable information. I often find it frustrating sometimes when the podcaster sometimes jumps in over the other person and starts yapping away at something else, when you're like, just let them finish the answer. This is gold. This is really good. It's the same as on a sales call. You're diagnosing the problem. You want to wait for that gold, wait for that person, and then obviously be writing down these notes. That's why silence is so important. And the reason why silence is obviously also important is because you want those clear answers, and you want them to feel like, oh, I'm the one on this call. I'm the one kind of selling themselves to me, like the person who's selling the product. They're actually the prospect is selling themselves to me to see, should I let them in my program? That's how you typically run a sales call. This is like one of the most powerful strategies, but it's hard to use. You have to kind of, like, especially when you're a beginner, it's very hard because you're going to want to like jump in like, okay, we can do something else or blah blah blah. Like you want to fill that gap with noise. So it'll take time, but this is super powerful when you do it right. Next thing is, do not solve prospects' problem. So what do I mean by do not solve the prospect's problem? If you're asking a prospect and you're diagnosing their issues or their problems at the moment, and they say, oh, like whatever, my funnel isn't going well, or my cost per lead is so, or like Facebook advertisement or my organic strategy, it's not getting the results I'm wanting, and I'm not sure if it's doing this or that. You just be like silent and you're like, okay, and that's it. You don't say anything. You don't try you diagnose the problem, but you don't try and solve the problem. You don't be like, well, actually, have you tried this thing with Facebook ads, or this is the best organic strategy we found, so you should probably do an organic strategy similar to this one. That's a good strategy for you. To tell you the things that are going wrong with their business, you give a pause, and then if you feel like they're finished saying what they need to say, just be like, okay. And then if they're finished, you move on to the next question to diagnose their problem more, whatever else you need to find out. Do not try and solve the problem. So those things are super important. Silence, and do not solve the prospect's problem on the call. That's for when they become a client of yours. You want them to sit with that problem. You want to feel the emotions of that problem, like how it's really affecting them, and like really make them frustrated with their own situation. And yeah, and in that silence also helps with that as well. So if you like this video, definitely subscribe for more.